Joseph, you're going to be in a place of authority. And rather than rejoicing that God had raised one of their own to a place of prominence, they begin to attack him. And they begin to fault find. And they begin to criticize. And so they begin to devise a scheme in order to pull him down. I want to let you know this stuff is not new.
Come on, preacher. Come on, son.
This is better than scandal. I know, right? And so what happens is that in the course of time, they begin to devise a strategy in order to ensure that this dream that he has does not come to pass. And they invest all of the energy that they have in coming up with a plan that they are very proud of. The Bible records that as Joseph is out, they scheme against him as they see him coming. And as they scheme, they decide, here's a wonderful pit. We'll leave him in the pit and we'll let him die.
Yes, sir.
But aren't you so glad that when God has a word over your life, it doesn't matter what weapon the enemy forms against you. But the Bible says, Isaiah 54:17, that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. So, what he does is that he's there in the pit and somebody is merciful. Ruben says, we can't kill him, he's our own brother. And so, they decide the more merciful thing to do is to sell him into slavery. Because there are some Ishmaelites there that they can sell them there. They can at least make a profit off of them. Some people profit off of your misfortune. Some people capitalize. There's a whole industry based on your misfortune.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You can connect to that.
Yes, sir.
Whole industry based on. And so what happens is that while they're away with this wonderful plan, jumping and leaping for joy with great excitement and ecstasy, the Midianites arrive. And the Midianites see Joseph. And while they're away, the Midianites take that same plan. Don't you hate when somebody steals your business plan? And the Midianites come. And they employ the same tactic. But now, our brother, when they come back, their brother is missing. And they ain't getting nothing out the deal. So the Midianites sell him for 20 pieces of silver. That doesn't sound familiar. And so in the process of time, now Joseph is in slavery. So I had a dream. And after this dream, if I look at this rationally, things ain't ever been the same since I had this dream. And rather than things getting better, things are continually growing worse.
Come on, preacher.
And if I'm not careful, I would wish I never had the dream in the first place. Because it's almost better not to have a dream and see your expectations dashed than to get your hopes all up high and see them fall apart over and over again. To believe and hold on to a strand of faith and yet see it decimate right before your very eyes. But I believe that he was able to pull on some of his heritage and remember that, you know what, we've been here before. We've had tough times before. We've endured difficult situations before. God of our weary years.
Yes, sir.
Hallelujah. I'm sorry. I'll keep myself together. Hallelujah. God will make a way somehow. And although it's hard to remind yourself when you're in the pit, it's hard to remind yourself when you're in a place of darkness and solitude, I believe that he understands that even when it looks like I'm alone, I'm not really alone. And so the Bible begins to record that after Joseph is released from the pit, only to go into slavery, only to go to a ruler named Potiphar's house, the Bible records that God was with Joseph. And that's the kind of stuff that doesn't necessarily resonate with our 21st century understanding of Christianity. Because we like to believe that if God is with us, then God would not allow me to go into a pit. If God was with me, how could he allow me to end up in this mess? But come on, hold on just a little while longer. Don't is now in the house, but he's a slave. He's a victim of human trafficking.
Come on, sir. Come on. Come on.
He was smuggled out.
Yes,
He was snuck in.
yes.
And now he's a slave in Potiphar's house. But something happens in Potiphar's house. God gives him favor even in an unfavorable situation. And so what begins to happen is that even though he's in slavery, they put him in control of some things. And he's in a place of authority because he was so faithful over what had been assigned to him. You know, when you're faithful over a few things, then the Lord will make you ruler over many. And perhaps and maybe this situation was simply orchestrated to give Joseph the practice that he needed. You don't like this. The practice that he needed for his role, which was to come. And so after being in Potiphar's house, he not only is there, but he maintains and demonstrates integrity. The Bible tells us that it records this, that Joseph was a handsome, and for the ladies, a well-built man. That's what it says. And immediately following that, it says, Potiphar began to look at Joseph. And not only that, but she came and asked and requested that he would lie with her, rated G. And as he did, and the Bible says that when he refused, because many of us can turn down temptation one